We're live.
Hello. Sorry, last minute technical glitch. Just popping my headphones in. Welcome.
Good morning, afternoon.
Ready and waiting for us. Welcome to Donna and Cheryl TV. Coming at you. Keeping it real, Cheryl. Keeping it real. Well, look, I've got nails. I've got finger extensions back, people. No longer do I have stumps.
I just noticed me lovely pink nails when I did that. It just looks so much better, doesn't it?
They do look lovely. Pink nails, finger extensions. Life is good. Coming at you this week with lots of life lessons, all about self-care. We are sick and tired of the guilt that comes along with feeling like we have to feel bad when we look after ourselves. Whether it's getting your nails done, whether it's having a meditation, whether it's having 10 minutes. I was watching, has anyone seen Working Moms on Netflix? Hysterical. Yeah. Like, how have I never seen this before? But when she says, like, I pretend I've got IBS and I just sit in the bathroom playing Candy Crush. It's like, you don't have to pretend you've got IBS. See you in 10 minutes to play Candy Crush. But that did make me think these are the lengths that women will go to in order to get some peace and quiet and some me time, because we feel guilty just asking for it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
It is. And Donna and I, we've talked to you about this before, about powering through, but we are notoriously bad. I'd say we've got so much better now since we've set up our business, because we like to practice what we preach. We don't just talk to you about all of these things and then not do it ourselves. Sometimes we don't, but 80% of the time, whatever Donna and I talk to you about, we actually have implemented as healthy habits along the way.
Oh, God, like 90%, yeah.
It wasn't always like that. So, no. So we have the badges of the powering through,
the mental scars,
guilty, and being able to do everything. And I used to be swinging off the rafters because I was just permanently in a manic state because I was trying to do everything.
And we still do. And like, look, it's a bit like we are recovering power throughers, right? So there are always times, like last week, wasn't it, Cheryl? Was one of those weeks where halfway through the week, hand on heart, Cheryl and I said, what have we done? What have we done to ourselves? We were launching for you guys the Real You online with the 3 additional bonuses, which we'd never done it in that way before. And we had the self-confidence the Supercharge Your Self-Confidence masterclasses, which when you're doing something like that, it's not that we don't know what we're going to do in it, but we had technical problems pulling the packs together. We had some technical problems with emails. We had technical problems with people not being accessed, and we had ourselves booked out that whole day. So we were just
the whole week.
This is crazy. Why have we done this to ourselves? Guess what I journaled about in my lessons of the week? But I think the difference is, Cheryl, was going back to a week of manic craziness.
Yeah,
I think was a really good lesson, because it kind of reminds you of, we used to live that life. I have got no intentions of going back to that life. And last week was just a glimpse of what actually used to be our life all of the time, working until 10, 11 o'clock, being up early in the morning, struggling to fit in our workout routines. It was just, it felt wrong, didn't it? Like, it
was horrendous.
It did not feel good. It was just like,
given that, like, honestly, but this is the important lesson. When you start to prioritize your self-care and when you start to put yourself first, you then settle into yourself and what your body needs and your mind needs, wants, what you love doing. And because Donna and I have been, and yes, don't get us wrong, we have busy days and this, that, and the other, but we did that to ourselves. We booked all of that into the diary, but we're not used to working like that now. We're used to working more with ease, with flow, having a read of a book, making sure we're doing our meditation, going for walks. Like, this is part of our daily work. Like going for a walk, meditating, journaling, whatever it is work now. We know that it's the mindset work that we have to do every day. So when that happened last week, I'm pointing over here in the past. When that happened last week, we were like, oh my goodness, like, how have we got ourselves in this state? But like Donna said, that's the exception. Where for some of you who aren't prioritizing self-care and making it sensible, that might be the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And we can tell you, after being power throughers for 20 odd years, it feels much better.
Yeah.
Doing it
Being
in
slow.
it's the how. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you don't execute or deliver or get stuff done. It's how you do it. It's the biggest thing that I've learned.
Yeah.
It's the state of mind. It's like I actually used the word stress at the weekend. Now that word I just rarely get stressed, but I was literally like this. Said to my husband, I feel stressed out. Like I used to feel like that every day. I did when I came home from work. I'd be like this every day, where I never feel like that. And I was like
Now
that on
it's like
Saturday. Oh my
alien.
God. Wasn't a good feeling, people.
It was not a good feeling. We didn't like it. And the interesting thing was that actually my old habits of being like that would have been to have not done some of the stuff that I now do. And what I knew last week was I have to look after myself so I actually got up earlier, even though I wasn't getting to bed till like midnight most nights. I got up even earlier by 6 o'clock. I was meditating because I knew if I didn't do that and if I let that go, I really would feel like I had no control over the day. My diary would be controlling the day. Even though the diary was lovely things, we were doing fabulous things. We enjoyed the activity. It was just the volume of activity that we'd put on ourselves and the deadlines that we'd put on ourselves and the lack of gaps that we'd given ourselves in the diary for stuff that comes up, things that don't work. So for me, what it highlighted as well, what I learned was I was actually really proud of myself for sticking with the mindset work and the inner energy work, because if I had let that go, I genuinely think I would be physically quite poorly this week. So at the weekend, again, what I would have normally done was had a bottle of wine, had a takeaway, thought, thank God I've got through that. I didn't. I've eaten super clean at the weekend, not had any alcohol, had lots of rest, declined invitations to do things just to kind of keep myself rested and well so that I could be recharged for this week. So
I'm not going to lie, on Saturday, to be fair, I was planned on going out for a lovely afternoon with my husband. We were supposed to be ready at 12 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, I was still sat in my pajamas. I hadn't washed my hair for a week, feeling extremely stressed out because something was going wrong. And I said to Donna, I need a gin. I mean, I was going out for a drink anyway, so it's not like I turned to that, but I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the gin.
You enjoyed it, but you were still back home at like 8 o'clock in your PJ.
I was up yesterday going and doing exercise and things, so it is very different. But it's the how you approach things. Like this week, for example, so we know now Donna's going to be on holiday next week. We've got a lot of planning to do. So we had our CEO meeting this morning. We've got lots of time together this week and some walks planned in. I've been for a walk this morning, exercise. So, because sometimes what happens is when you have a really chocker week, then you get in the next one and think, oh, well, this week's not crammed out in my diary. So what can we, we're not busy enough.
Yeah, what can we add in
the diary? Right,
I used to do that in corporate, in corporate. And the amount of people that have said to me, in corporate, unless your diary's rammed, you feel like you're slacking. Like if you have a 3 hour, like in corporate, if you had 3 hours in your diary, you would have thought that you're like, I need to fill it, otherwise it looks like I'm not like important enough and I'll end up made redundant. So I need to fill my diary. Like in corporate life, we were, I mean, Cheryl and I and the team, if any of the team watch this, like shout, but we were really good. We always used to block our lunch. And as a team, we always used to meet for our lunch. It was rare. We didn't have a full hour, but it was rare that we didn't all have 20 to 30 minutes crossover in the middle of the day where we would have that lunch. And we always had a morning huddle. We were religious, weren't we? We'd have a morning huddle and a get together to set our energy for the day. And for us, that was just really, really important, having that, going back, having that connection. We'd have a bit of a crazy laugh. We'd have a bit of a, just let some energy go, get some positive energy back in and go off on the rest of the day. And I know that so many people in corporate don't do that. They don't have, sometimes they'll have the huddles, but they're not having the physical get-togethers, which have no purpose other than just to connect with the team daily. We did that every single day.
We had a laugh. We had fun. Like, we're killing ourselves here, people. burning ourselves into the ground, booking in meetings, not having a lunch, not having a break, getting to the end of the day, we're wrecked. Get up, do it again. Like, it's important to, and there's some great comments there about mindset work is part of the work. Absolutely. But that's a shift.
It is the work.
But you have to change the belief. So that is a mindset shift. So you've got to change your thought patterns and form a new belief about that. Because at first, when Donna and I started to plan this in, when we were doing work, when we were setting up our own business, it felt like you were doing your work and then you were doing that stuff. And actually, if you did that instead, you were having a bit of an easy day because you were reading a book. But actually, we've changed our beliefs to, you have to look after yourself. You've got to get your mind right. Otherwise, you can't do the work.
Absolutely. And sometimes we look for the work, don't we? Like, we were speaking to one of our incredible clients who's in our 6 months, The Real You program. And she's a leader. She's got a big team. She's got a big job, like a lot of our clients have. Okay. And she was saying she took a week off and was, expecting the calls from the team and thinking that things would happen and things might go wrong. And there was a really big meeting when she was off. And actually, no, the team managed beautifully. The feedback from the chief exec was great, and from the senior people in the organization, that the team really did a standout job. And she said, like, not to lie, at first it was almost that thing of, am I not needed? Do I not need to be there? Like, I'm super important. Do you not need me? Which is like, hands up. I used to think that all the time. In my earlier days of being a leader, like, I must be needed, and if I'm not here, the wheels are going to come off the bus. But our job really is to lead our people, and our people being our families, our teams at work, our communities, so that it functions well as a living, breathing organism at the top of its game without you needing to be there. So sometimes when we interfere and we poke things, let's face it, it's because that feeds our sense of, we're needed, we're worthy, rather than, and we prefer that feeling to sitting back and reading the book while the team are cracking on, because that's what we've trained ourselves to do. Yeah,
absolutely. But it's just it's a switch, it's a reframe, isn't it, Donna? It's a switch in perspective and it's a reframe. Yeah. But I think, like, the number one, like, message is, like, it's like, you have to put yourself at the top of the priorities. And I know it's easy to say that, and it takes time to actually start to do that. But when you start to prioritize your self-care and make it essential and make it your work, and you see the benefits, like Donna and I described in our example, the benefits of being that way, when you then go back to doing it in the opposite way, you really feel the aftermath of that. So then you're like, right, I'm not going to do that anymore. It's just so important. It changes your life.
It changes your life and your perspective. And it's one of those things that it feels weird at first, and it feels uncomfortable. Like the first time when Carol and I started the business, and sometimes she'd come round HQ, and I'd sit and say, I just don't feel like doing that today. I'm having real resistance. And she's like, well, don't do it then. And I'd sit and read Napoleon Hill's How to Think and Grow Rich. And I remember saying to her once, like, I love my job. And then she came around one day, and we'd had a really busy week. We'd been writing lots of content and stories and building something. And I remember it was a Monday, and you came round, and we had like a full day mapped out. And I remember saying to Cheryl, I really just don't want to. Like, I know it's childish, I just don't want to. And I remember putting her back down and saying, what do you want to do? And I said, I just want to, like, go into the pictures or something, like, just do something. Like, I really want to just go and see. And we went to see A Star Is Born, Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper. And she went, right, let's go and see A Star Is Born. Because what she knew straight away was, if I was in that feeling of real resistance, no good stuff was going to come from me that day. Like, not really. And she just sensed it. She was like, right, let's go. And then the rest of the week, we smashed stuff out. Like, because we just allowed ourselves, we gave ourselves permission to have fun. Yeah. And that's where it starts, because your vibration gives off everything. So if you're not looking after yourself, it's going to come back and bite you. And when you're in corporate, somebody's paying you if you're off sick. When you've got your own business, if you're stressed out and you're off sick, guess who's paying? Nobody. Like, if you put yourself out of action, you are potato chips.
And just to add on to that story, it is about permission, because we are the leaders of our life. Like, we get to decide. So for Donna and I, we decide what we're going to do this week. We decide when we're going to launch something. We decide when we're going to the pictures. We decide when we're going to walk. Like no one else. They, you know, this magical they, we used to always like to hear about in corporate. They're this, they're that. It isn't, it's us. And yes, you have certain things that you have to turn up to. However, we get to choose. We get to decide. So we have to start making ourselves a priority and putting much more importance on ourselves and our self-care, and other things are less of a priority in order to be effective. But we get to do it, and we have to give ourselves permission to do that, because it starts with us. We're the only ones that can dictate our lives. Like, we're the leaders of our own lives, people.
Yeah. If you're not CEOing yourself, that's bad news. I was going to swear, but it's lunchtime. I just love this from Wendy, and it's so true. I am worthy starts from inside, not external validation. And that's so true. And any limiting belief you've got around that is because you're thinking that it's an external issue, and it isn't. It isn't. It isn't. Right. Who else have we not? Which comment? We've got some great comments here, guys. Which ones have we not heard, Cheryl?
Well, we've got one from Anne around as a nurse. When you run the ward so well, some love it to fall apart and they feel important, but actually it's a sign of a great leader. And then Mel was just saying how she could sense herself becoming overwhelmed at the start of the week. So she did meditation, prioritized her self-care. So it stopped her. Amazing intervention. Well done. Wendy's just saying, used to have a boss who knew he was only as good as his team. He was a rarity. Yes. But we have to make that the norm for ourselves. And then Sona, it's great to hear it's possible. I love it's about permission. It's one of my fears that when I have my own business, I will have no time. Exactly, is a limiting belief. You will have no time if you if you decide not to give yourself any time. And it is work, but if you start going into the business with this belief, you're going to make your life a lot easier. We didn't always do this.
We didn't always do it, but what we've learned from this is that when you, like Cheryl, make sure that we block in our walks, our me time before Holly, who Cheryl's daughter works for us and books most of our stuff in now, so that Holly knows what our sacred time is. And yes, sometimes we need to move that because we move around our clients. But in the main, the morning up until 10 o'clock, and then from 3 till 5 is blocked out from me. For Cheryl, it's slightly different. So but that you put it in, and that's our priority. And it shows that it's our priority. So doing this self-worth work is a big piece of work, right? I'm not saying that this happens. And remember, guys, Cheryl and I have been doing this for a long time. But each of these small decisions, each of these pieces of permission that you give yourself amount up, and they compound over time, so that your sense of self-worth is so much greater and so much bigger and so much more expansive than it ever was before. But this is exactly why we created our program, The Real You. This is what it's about. It's about doing that inner work from wherever you are to expand and build on where you want to be. Because the other thing that makes it really hard to show up for yourself is when you don't have a goal, when you don't have a project or a bigger vision of what it is you're trying to work towards in your life. If you're just doing it because somebody says it's good to have a morning routine and there's no big goal to it, then that's really difficult to connect to. So our Real You program is about helping you understand what that goal is and understand anything and everything that's a limiting belief that's in your way of that. And trust me, you have got limiting beliefs that you have got no clue about, because they're sitting in your blind side. They're sitting in your identity level blind side. And that's why everybody who works with a coach goes, oh, that's what that's about. We're like, yay! You know, that's what those moments are for. And the reason we're talking about it today so passionately today is up until 9 o'clock tonight, you get to join our Real You online with 3 amazing bonuses. So not only are you getting the full course, the 12 weeks, which you've got lifetime access to online with videos and workbooks and us talking to you like this on the videos, coaching you through modules from understanding your limiting beliefs, your lifelines, everything that's in your way, to building new beliefs about yourself, new identity, new habits, connecting to your superpowers, living life as the real you with no masks. You get all of that for a 50% reduction off the fee. And until 9 o'clock tonight, you're also getting 3 bonuses, aren't you, Cheryl? 3 bonuses worth £2,000.
I popped the link in the comments. Codes expire at 9 p.m. tonight. It's your special code. So you will be coming to a group live Q&A session with us on Thursday evening with Hot Seat Live Coaching, you will get a bonus 30-minute one-to-one session. And you're going to have a live money mindset masterclass with us to help you. Money mindset equals self-worth. The two are linked. So we're not only going to help you to change your money mindset so you've got much more abundance, we're also going to help you to increase self-worth with that because they're linked. So the link's in the comments. The codes expire at 9 p.m.
So just to drill it home, £8,000 worth of coaching with lifetime access to a private online community, not the soul system, the real you one, and lifetime access to the training material and the 3 bonuses is yours for $995, and it's only up until 9 p.m. tonight. It's all about the 9s. So please check it out. And if you've got any questions, guys, don't leave it till the last minute. Text, DM me or Cheryl, DM in the soul system or wherever, and just tag us so that we know that you're asking the question. But literally, this is the best offer we've ever given you in a way to work with us. So please check it out, because so many people message us the next day and say, oh, can I still do it? No,
yeah.
It goes until 9 o'clock tonight.
Will this still be valid in the morning? No.
And again, we honestly, and it's for women and men, but we've had some amazing women sign up over the weekend who are already having aha moments, who are crying just in the welcome section with the stuff they realized about themselves. And these are highly emotionally intelligent women. So you're going to be in really good company. Come and join us, okay?
Yeah. Right.
Here ended the sermon. You'll all be pleased to know. I want you to jump into the soul system now. I'm going to put a thread in there, and I want to know what you're committing to in terms of your self-care this week. What self-care step are you taking to get yourself in tip-top condition? And we're going to be talking about this much, much more over the week, okay? Love you all.
People.
Happy Monday.
Bye.
Bye.